What's happening in his personal life is clearly affecting what's going on in the business. Hey, it's Scott Beebe, the Business on Purpose podcast. We talk about some real issues here, and today I will not shy away from a very real issue that many of you either are experiencing firsthand as an owner. You might be experiencing this firsthand as an employee, as a key leader of the business that you work in. And that is where either if you're an owner, one of your key leaders, or if you're a key leader, maybe the owner or another key leader is really being bombarded right now by what's going on in their personal life. Guys, this is why we say that there cannot be a separation in personal and work. They're integrated. And the integration of those two things is okay. It's fine. It's part of our growth as human beings, is learning how to not only integrate, but manage the integration of those two things, not to segment those things because it's impossible. The human brain can't do it and still be human. You can turn into a robot if you want to perfectly silo and segment all the emotions that come with being a human being. That's what robots do. They pull on certain segments of, I don't even know what it's called, RAM or the hard drive. But the hard drive segments all that stuff into files and folders. And I'm sure there are elements of the human brain that we learned filing and foldering off of. And yet at the same time, what computers may eventually replicate, but they will only replicate by algorithm, is the idea of emotion. And so the things that are happening at work, sometimes you need to sit back and ask yourself, am I allowing these things at work to dominate my mind at home? Or am I allowing these things at home to dominate my mind, my emotion, my responses at work? And for us to tritely say, well, yeah, you got to stop thinking about that. You just have to stop thinking about that. That's not a very wise thing to say. Instead, what we need to begin to look at is, how do we maneuver through both sides, home, life, and the emotions that lie there within, with a reality and with a maturity to be able to handle both, with a support system to be able to handle both. Listen, there are not many people that are listening to this podcast that don't have something going on at home, or that don't have something going on at work that is affecting our emotions. So does that mean that we all take a 6-month sabbatical? Does that mean that we all dive into work headlong? There is no one-size-fits-all prescription. And so instead what we have to do is we have to, with great maturity, great thoughtfulness, great wisdom, be able to look at the scenario, the situation that we're in, because there's not a one-size-fits-all, and be able to manage and consider before making decisions. And so maybe the wisdom in how to manage the emotion of home or manage the emotion of work when you're at the other is the wisdom of the pause. Maybe it's the wisdom of going, okay, I'm about to respond this way. Is my reactionary response a direct reflection of what's going on in the other segment of my life? Or is it appropriate for the situation? So, for instance, if you're an owner and you've got a key leader who's really not doing what they're supposed to be doing in their role, your response to that key leader is your hasty response being run through the lens of the filter of your erratic emotion from something that's going on at home? Or is your hasty response the right response in the right moment? There are times that response in haste is appropriate. Your child has their hand on the hot oven. A hasty response is appropriate. Followed up with a sit-down discussion and explanation. And vice versa. There's times when a sit-down discussion and explanation is the right immediate reactionary response. And then later on, it might be a follow-up haste to reinforce the point. The reality of all of this is we've got to be aware. We've got to have great maturity, great thoughtfulness as we're thinking through. And don't be afraid to hit the pause button when you're having to react to moments. And if what you're doing at work is robbing your time at home, and it's not just a seasonal issue, or if what you're doing at home is robbing your leadership at work, and it's not just a seasonal issue. A seasonal issue at home might be you just had a new baby. Yeah, there's a season for that. So backpedal on the business stuff for a little while. The issue at work might be we've got a proposal going out next Friday, and this is a big game changer for our business. Okay, seasonally, but then on the backside of that, you build in time to sabbatical at home. I really want to challenge you with maturity. And what does that look like? Because if you're not willing to run through the lens of maturity with discipline, then it's really going to hurt you. You can hear the map lady in the background. I told you I do these in my car because it's real life leaving a client meeting. Hey, I'll see you next time right here on the Business on Purpose podcast.